thing I could ask all men. What is their biggest fear when it comes to attachment?
As in with them attaching to a woman or with a woman attaching to them?
Maybe both.
Okay. Biggest fear with them attaching to a woman?
Big one, right?
Yeah. I would say, everyone's afraid of the person that they want leaving them.
Yeah.
I think men's biggest fear is a woman destroying him.
Right.
In a sense of, because it takes a lot for men to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And not just vulnerable with his emotions, but vulnerable with his life, what he's built, right?
Yeah.
And I think men's biggest fear is a woman, for whatever reason, using his vulnerabilities in his emotional, in his finances or whatever, against him to destroy him.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that's men's biggest fear is because, at least definitely my generation, we've seen that happen, especially in like divorce. A lot of the time, like men just get taken to the cleaners, or you know, I've heard it. You know, I've heard it where this was actually a friend of mine who he told a girl that, you know, growing up, like his dad wasn't in his life, and you know, so he kind of struggled not having a masculine, you know, role model in his life and stuff. And this quite early on. She was like, "Oh, you know, thank you for telling me." And then an argument about month down the line, and she kind of was just like, "Yeah, well, you're probably like this because your dad wasn't in your life or something." And it was like, and from that, he was like, "Right, I'm never opening up to a woman again about that ever."
And that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it happens.
Yeah. And I did talk to him. I said, "Look, that you weren't wrong for opening up. Like that was on her. Obviously, maybe, you know, build more trust to know that a woman wouldn't use it against you in that sense." But I think that's a man's biggest fear, like a woman using things in his life that are vulnerable to him to destroy him. I think that's his biggest fear. And his biggest fear to a woman attaching to him, I'd say trapping him with a baby.
Yeah, straight.
Trapping him with a baby. Being like, you know, because women can use sex to get guys.
Yeah.
That maybe that guy wouldn't ordinarily choose them. But men are hardwired to seek sexual opportunity. So women can use that. And so if a woman is with a man that maybe she knows he doesn't feel the same way, but she wants this man in her life, you know, if she gets pregnant by him,
it's all over,
that's it.
How long would you wait? Would you would you think someone should wait before being like intimate with someone to gain the utmost respect?
Yeah, of course. So definitely not the first date.
Yeah.
Definitely not the first date.
Yeah. Red flag.
People try and say, no, it doesn't matter. It matters. To men, it matters. So I would say, so sometimes people are like, oh, the third day or the third month or whatever. And, you know, if people said like the third date, well, it depends how much time you spent with them.
Yeah.
So like if each date was 2 hours long, by the third date, you've spent 6-7 hours. But with the first date, you spend a whole day together. You've spent the same amount of time, but that's one day and that's 3 days, right?
Yeah.
So generally what I say is ask yourself, would I introduce him to my friends? Because, okay, let's say like your girlfriends are having a party, right?
Yeah.
If you bring a +1, you wouldn't bring anyone that you don't trust because they are an ambassador for your reputation.
100%.
Right? Because if you bring a +1 and, you know, that person's really drunk, being obnoxious, they're like trashing the place, everyone's like, yo, who brought that?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that's
cool.
Nia's friend.
Yeah.
Everyone then judges you because of that person's behavior. And that's your +1, right? So generally speaking, when we're bringing someone as a +1, especially to our friends, right, in our circles, we generally wouldn't bring someone that we don't know wouldn't be a good ambassador for our reputation. So if your girlfriends are having a party or something and like a close party and you could bring a +1 and you don't know him well enough where he would represent you well,
don't bring him.
Then it's too soon to sleep with him.
Yeah, right, okay.
So when you know him well enough that you're like, I'm comfortable being with this guy in front of my friends, then that's usually a sign that you know him well enough, you built a level of rapport with him enough that you can be intimate with him, where that's building the intimacy as opposed to just, you know, just getting a quick fix.
Right, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. Definitely, that's great.
Have you ever felt that you've maybe slept with a guy too soon or not soon enough? You ever had that?
Probably a bit of both, really.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, you could do it too soon and you could, you know, essentially ruin it through that. And then it's like, or you could wait too long and then it kind of fizzles out. So I suppose through like experience, you're kind of trying to find that balance.
What's your experience been in terms of what's been, in your opinion, like really too soon, and what's an example where you kind of waited too long and it did just fizzle out?
I'm not really sure.
No? What's the longest you've waited?
A year.
A year?
A year.
Like, as in, were you dating a guy for a year?
Yeah, but like we never used to see each other all the time, stuff like that. But yeah.
As in, you were actually like, from the first date to you guys sleeping together, being intimate, was a year?
It was a year. Twice, actually, that's been a year.
Wow.
It's like a test.
That's a hefty test.
To see how much they're really into me and like how much they'll...
Why so long? Were you just not that into them?
I don't know. I just think maybe a fear of abandonment issues. Feeling used, maybe, stuff like that.
I mean, after a year, I don't think you'd be used after a year.
No, definitely not. How would you recommend someone with like abandonment issues, how would they, by not sabotaging something out of that fear?
I would ask, how do you self-sabotage though? How do you self-sabotage?
Maybe by like overthinking things, pushing things, overthinking things that would just maybe flow because of the trauma of abandonment, thinking that they're going to leave you, or thinking that, stuff like that. And then kind of like pressuring things that don't really need to put pressure on. And then ultimately something that could be so great, I've just tore it all apart before it started.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Anytime you're feeling to put pressure on something.
Yeah.
So like to put pressure on your partner for something, if you can have awareness of whether it's reasonable or not, because some things might be reasonable, some might not be. Ask yourself, why is this important to me in this moment?
Yeah.
Like why? Like why is you going out with your friends? Why do I have deep issues with that? Why can't I accept that? And it's like, okay, why? Well, what might I think is going to happen? Well, you're going to go out with your friends and then you're going to meet someone else and then you're going to leave me. Okay. Did this person go out with their friends while we were dating? Yeah. Did they leave you when they were dating? No. Are you further along now? Yeah. Are you more bonded now? 100%. So they're more likely to leave you when the bond is less, which was in the beginning, and they didn't. So why would they leave you now?
Yeah.
Because the bond is much stronger.
Very interesting, yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you ask yourself why, and then after asking yourself for why, if you can, I mean, I get it. Like I'm a guy, so I tend to look at things quite logically. Yeah. I try to. With a level of emotional empathy when I can, but we all grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, asking yourself why in that moment. And sometimes it's justified. It might be like, okay, well, the reason I have a problem with him going out because the last time he went out, he kissed another girl. So like, okay, well, that's a justified kind of fear or pressure of him going out, and that trust hasn't been rebuilt yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, asking yourself why. And if you ask yourself why and you can't come to like a reasonable conclusion, then that's when healing has to be done. And like I said, that's either therapy or reading books or having a conversation with someone that you need to. So yeah, that's what I would say. But you said you're used to attracting narcissistic men.
Yeah.
Have you, and you don't have to answer this, has you going away being like part of your history, what have men thought about that? Has that had any effect? Has that made them want you more? Has that made them go, oh, that's really adventurous? Has that made him go, oh, like, are you going to leave me? Like, how has that played for you? And you don't have to answer that, but
I think in a mix of ways. I think that in some ways, because I've been away for so long, some people can get insecure with me because then they can feel like she's lost out on a lot of time. why is she going to now spend the time that she's got all with me?
Sure.
So there's that fear of I'm going to see something else,
And
see
just
someone
go
else, for more experiences.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, how long were you in prison for?
6.5 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also other people, and I think at times there's been points where, because of that, I feel like at points it's like I'm more what's the word? I'm more like I'm easier to settle for things because I've been in bad situations. So it's like, do you know what I mean?
You'll accept less.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I've had less.
Yeah.
Sadly, yeah. I've found that, I think, as well.
Right.
So then it's like, because I've been in situations where I've been shit, so obviously, and I've been in prison, I've been on my own, then it's like, okay, so then when I am with someone, it's like I don't get what I deserve. I haven't, not that I don't, or just like for, just different experiences, but there's been points where I haven't, and then it's been like, oh, well, you just accept it because I haven't got loads to compare it to.
Sure.
And it's still an upgrade from places that I've been.
Yeah.
But then at the same, and then it's like maybe my values seen as less than other women. So,
yeah. Do you feel that you've missed out? From experiences?
I do feel like I've missed out in some ways, but then in others I don't. I feel like I've gained. Because, I may have lost out on time, but I've gained a lot in terms of getting to know myself, understanding healing, understanding things, that situations I've been in, healing through stuff that I've been through, whereby my experiences and my time that I do have now would be loads better and is loads better.
Yeah.
So I don't look back and see it as so much of a loss.
Yeah.
Because what could that have been if I wasn't who I am now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd rather value over,
quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I get that. One last thing I want to ask you is, what would you ask? Do you want to get married?
I'd like to.
You'd like to?
Yeah.
What would you ask your future husband if you could? What would you ask him?
What would I ask him? Can you cook?
At least she's honest, boy.
No, I'm joking. Well, that would be helpful. But
Yeah.
I mean, just be patient with me.
Ask him to be patient with
you. Just,
Yeah.
like I can be amazing, like 100 mile an hour one day, and then I could be like really deflated the next. Just be patient with me.
Yeah.
And I
get that.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.